It's time for the Storm Sports Hour with Anthony Pagnotta and Jake Elder.
Welcome into this presentation of the Storm Sports Hour. Here with you on this Thursday, it's DJ Paggy, Anthony Pagnotta hanging out here with you, and the Elder Statesman is here as well, guys.
What's going on?
Back-to-back weeks. It's shocking, the consistency of the show now. It's amazing. But, we're off and running, as is the NFL season, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Talk Jalen Ramsey's comments yesterday on all of the different quarterbacks. Kind of what do you take away from that? And we'll also talk baseball fights. That's one of the things we definitely have to get into because there have been a couple in the last couple of days. What is the stance? What are baseball fights? Are they good for the game or are they bad? There's differing opinions. We're going to tell you what we think. And then to wrap it up, we'll look at some of the preseason games coming up, starting with tonight's games. And then, of course, we got to do last-minute headlines. But first, let's start with the preseason coming back. That's right. The Hall of Fame game, we got that out of the way. Last week was the official start of the preseason, so excitement is finally here. I don't know about you. I was like a kid in a candy shop watching preseason football last Thursday. I was like, I can't believe it. It's finally back. The longest offseason, it seems, of my life is finally over.
Yeah, I'm so happy the NFL is back. But how many games did you get to watch yesterday?
Let's see. I listened to the Cleveland and New York Giants game because, as a Giant fan. So I had to start out listening to that because I was working delivering pizza. Yes, very fun.
I've been there, done that. I deliver Chinese food. So hey.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
How about that? So, I was listening to that game and then got home and was able to catch the end of that. Switched back and forth a little bit between the Panthers game as well when I got back to the house. And then I was able to catch almost the entire Dallas and San Francisco game. So,
okay.
I got to look at a couple of guys. I was telling you, like, right before we got on, if you miss any of these preseason games, NFL Network has you covered because that is all they show right now. It's that and maybe a little bit of NFL Total Access. So I've seen, I know Baltimore. I know the ins and outs of that game. I've seen it so many times that it's unbelievable. So, I love what we saw in the first preseason week. We saw some guys that really came out and had a great display. I mean, I got the scoreboard right here, and looking back on it, I don't think most people realize how good some of these guys actually performed.
Yeah.
In the first week.
Yeah, I thought Mayfield didn't do too shabby. I don't have a stat line in front of me. I think he had his quarterback rating that was like 125. He had a touchdown. He didn't get throwing any interceptions. I did notice though Tyrod Taylor was like 5 for 5, 99 yards, touchdown. So Tyrod was perfect. But that Cleveland teams, it's going to look like it. They definitely have some potential. I mean, everybody's been saying it, but seeing them out there on the field, that team I think is actually going to make a little bit of noise this year. But as to the Panthers game, I was satisfied with what I saw. I actually missed the first drive of Cam's. I heard it, but I think it ended. I can't remember. I think they might have picked up a first down or two, but I heard they stalled out after that. But,
right.
But I know that next time they got on the field, they did look pretty well and ended with a touchdown. But didn't see a lot. I think they saw some of the quick passes like that. Didn't obviously if they're playing a vanilla scheme, but. I was liking what I saw from the O-line. Wasn't like there was a lot of pressure getting on Cam. I know Moton, I thought looked really good at right tackle. And then I saw some of Mahon, Taylor, or not Taylor, Mahon or Tyler May.
Brendan
Mahon.
Yep.
I always get their names mixed up. But he looked pretty good in left guard. I think there's a few plays where he struggled, but for the most part, I thought he looked decent. So. I hate injuries to anybody, but Amini Sealy-Tolu, I just don't know what – I know Rivera just sticks to the veteran players, but maybe he's got incriminating pictures of Rivera or what, because I've seen – I think all Panther fans can agree. We've seen enough of Amini. He's not even really good depth. I get he's familiar with the team and all that, but so like I said, I don't like to see injuries at all, but that's somewhere where I was like, okay, Ververe's hands forced, so we really get to see what the young guy's going to do. So Mahan, I think he was their first undrafted free agent they reached out to. Mm-hmm. So it's nice seeing him kind of starting to get playing time. I think now he's been getting a lot more reps with the ones. The defense, I thought defense looked good. I don't even think Peppers obviously didn't play, and then they held out Dante Jackson too. So I was really wanting to see him out there, but I mean he's pretty much now penciled in as like the number 2 cornerback outside of Bradbury. Mm-hmm. Trying to think, I think outside, I thought we looked pretty good. I thought Josh Allen didn't look too shabby. I think I can't remember his stat line though. It was like 9 of 19 or something. Yeah. But I mean, you could see that arm though. I mean, it's like he flicks his wrist and that ball goes 50 yards. Mm-hmm. So I had a Bills fan. He was optimistic, man. He was telling me I didn't want to shut him down, but I was like, man, it's great. But he was still overthrowing those guys deep. He was trying to say he had a pretty deep ball, but I mean, it doesn't matter if you're not making connection with the receiver, but. Yeah, so, I mean, I think the Bills, they got some potential, but I'm not sure, especially with Shady McCoy probably going to have a suspension coming up, and in their quarterback situation is I don't think they know where they're going. So, but, hey, Kelvin Benjamin, though, he got his touchdown, running up into the crowd. So,
congratulations. Yeah, he scored a touchdown in a preseason game, guys.
Probably the most important one, apparently, to him ever.
That's probably his only touchdown catch of the entire season. Let's be real.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not... Their wide receiving core is not it's not top loaded. There's a lot of guys in that receiving core, not a lot of guys that are really overly talented. But yeah. So I wanted to ask you this: what did you think of the backup quarterbacks? If you had to go, let's say for some reason you had to go off of this game, who would you take as your backup quarterback right now? Because I know who I would.
Oh man, because I liked kind of what I was seeing from Gilbert, but I mean he started warming up. He was a little kind of rough at first, but he was definitely warming up. I liked Heineke though, showed a little bit of wheels on that rollout, that one play. I remember where he picked up that third down on that I think it was a quarterback draw or quarterback bootleg. But I was really liking what I saw from Heineke. I mean he was he showed speed. I think it was Gilbert though who had the prettiest pass of the night for I think that touchdown. I might be getting my quarterbacks mixed up, but I'll say at the very least I was a little bit at ease after seeing both quarterbacks. I thought they did okay.
Right.
Like I've said though, if Cam's down for more than like 4 weeks or more, our season's over. But that's the whole point of a backup is a guy who can come in and if at worst play 2-3 games in a pinch, and maybe you come out going 2-1 or something like that. So I liked both Heineke and Gilbert. I guess maybe I'm feeling Heineke a little bit more, but maybe I'll see a little bit more Gilbert. But I'll say overall, though, yeah, I'm a little bit more at ease with the backup quarterback situation.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that if you're a Panther fan, you've got to take away from this game for sure. I know it's the first game, but still, to see those guys go out and perform as well as they did in what is basically an extremely vanilla offense that really shows that they have the talent there that's, it's present to where they can be a serviceable enough backup if something was to happen. They would at least keep you in games. I agree. I thought I would probably go with Heineke. I think, with the fit in the offense being that he's played under Norv Turner before, I thought he commanded the offense a little bit better. I thought he was a little bit more accurate, but Garrett Gilbert's been on the team as well. He has a little more familiarity with the guys on the roster. So, I think that's going to be a good battle going forward. Not really able to run the ball all that well. The numbers were pretty lackluster, but I mean they threw the ball so well. DJ Moore looked fantastic.
That's the other. He looked excellent.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have to be happy with what they saw from him. I thought Curtis Samuel looked pretty decent as well, which is good to see him back from injury, and I think he could be a key, especially in that slot. I think a lot of people are going to say, well, we do have Damiere Byrd, so is he really going to get all that much playing time? I think he's a better receiver than Damiere Byrd was. I think Damiere Byrd was kind of just a guy that fit in at the time and kind of stood out amongst a receiving core that was really not that good at all.
And lacking speed, too.
So,
that's kind of where he had his in. Hey, I think he's in danger maybe of making the roster now this year, Damiere Byrd. I mean, Well, I think we're loaded at receiver. I've seen some people say this is the most depth the Panthers potentially could have ever had at the receiver, and that actually is kind of true.
Right. I don't know about – I don't know. That's close because you got to think, okay, Funchess is a guarantee. DJ Moore guaranteed. Curtis Samuel guaranteed.
Torrey Smith.
Torrey Smith will be there. Jarius Wright. So, yeah, okay, then you're at 5.
I'm trying to think of
the thing about Bird, the reason it's going to be hard to leave him off of there is his returnability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm
trying to think. There's one more receiver I thought that's a veteran. I don't know, but yeah, if that's the case, yeah, if we keep 6, then yeah, I think Bird's. Somebody else though, I think should be worried though is Seymour, but apparently his wife was or his girlfriend was giving birth that night, so maybe it's not providing a full excuse, but still he was getting burned though by like third stringers like in that third quarter. Like
yeah,
he was getting,
I don't know though. I don't know how much stock I really put into that. I want to see what they're going to do once they get Bradbury back. I would like to see them start Dante Jackson on the outside and put Kevon Seymour in the slot where I think he could be effective. There's definitely some other guys, though, if you were to end up cutting Kevon Seymour for some reason. I don't think he's going to be the one that would get cut. I would not be shocked. Captain Munnerlyn, I think, is probably one that's going to have to go before him.
Or even probably my cousin, Corn Elder, even though unofficially my cousin, he might be in danger of making the roster. He had a good hit in the game. I think he has a potential to be like a good nickel back. But, yeah, he's, I think, somebody who should be worried because I think it might come down to maybe him or Captain maybe fighting for like that last maybe nickelback spot or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think I don't know, though, because I really think that Corn Elder has something. I remember seeing him play at Miami, and, he's a guy that really – he's not that flashy guy that's going to do everything great, but he's kind of just a guy that does what he has to do. Mm-hmm. And, they drafted him in the 4th round, I believe, a year ago?
Fourth, I think it was.
And, he didn't get to play last year because of an injury. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, you got to, if that ends up actually happening, he could, because of an injury, he could be off the roster. I mean, that's kind of the name of the game. I mean, if I look at it, I think right now probably 3 or 4 guys are probably guaranteed. I would say Bradbury is a guarantee. Dante Jackson's definitely making it. I would say Kevon Seymour's probably going to make the roster. I really doubt that he's in that much trouble. Mm-hmm. And then Ladarius Gunter, I think, is going to be a guy that's definitely there. But after that, I mean, there's no sure guys at that cornerback position to make the roster. I think there's definitely talent, but there's nobody that you're saying, okay, if this guy doesn't make the roster, well, then something's wrong. I don't think that's really the case. The problem with it is, Lorenzo Doss had a fantastic game, and he was a guy that really surprised in camp. Back in minicamp, he was with the team, and then he ends up coming back for training camp, and he's apparently looked really good. That could be the guy that could end up pushing these guys off the roster. But, I mean, yeah, Captain Munnerlyn, I think that's one of the things a lot of people really didn't notice. He was not out there really at all. I think if I read the article right, he was out there for a total of 5 snaps. So it looks like, at the least, we know he's probably not going to make the roster. So that's one of the veteran guys that's going to end up going. But other than that, I think a lot of people were overly concerned about what they saw in primarily that second quarter where Nathan Peterman came in and was able to sort of, he was able to get to that secondary. And, that was one of the reasons that I cautioned fans to be to pull back the expectations a little bit, because there was always a chance that could happen, especially with a young secondary, a secondary that really isn't as star loaded as it's been in the past. I mean, a lot of these guys, you look at it, Denoris Cersei is a good, he's serviceable enough as a starter, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's not a long-term solution there. Mike Adams is getting older. So, I mean, the signs are there, and then you add in that battle at that second quarterback position. Look, James Bradbury is fine. That's a good cornerstone to build, but the thing is finding that other guy. I think Panther fans thought it was going to be a simple fix. It's not really that simple. There will be some growing pains, and they've got to realize that. Now, I wanted to ask you this because I saw some people debating back and forth, and they were talking about it a little on local radio. If you had to start a corner right now when the season starts, who would you start? Would you start Dante Jackson or Kevon Seymour?
I haven't seen Jackson at all, but from everything that I've heard from training camp and reports, everything is he's just been lighting it up. So even though I have not seen him, and I know that's kind of a real big risk, is I would definitely try Dante Jackson out there. That's who I have, even though without seeing him, the confidence. But yeah, Seymour, maybe I was a little hard on him. I mean, he's been with us for a while. I think we picked him up from Buffalo last year, so maybe they kind of know some inside details, maybe how to play him a little bit, attack him more. But I would put Dante Jackson out there. I mean, that's obviously really that Cockrell injury is really coming back to bite us now, and then even the skin graft with Breland. But I guess that's something he's always kind of dealt with. But so yeah, it's just kind of a blow. But yeah, obviously a perfect world we have Cockrell and Bradbury starting, and we could kind of bring Jackson along. But yeah, so I guess Jackson's going to get kind of thrown into the fire. But I'm sure if you ask him, that's probably the exact way he'd want it. So.
Yeah, I have to agree, and I'm going to tell you why. And this was something that, I told one of my friends when we were talking about this earlier in the week, is that, look at the schedule that he starts with. He starts with the Dallas Cowboys. He's probably going to face Terrence Williams. Maybe at worst, he might be matched up at times with Allen Hurns. Allen Hurns is a solid receiver. Terrence Williams is below average. I think he can handle that. That would be interesting, a first game to throw him out. Then you get the Falcons. You're not going to be matched up with Julio Jones. In my opinion, you have Bradbury following him the entire way.
Yeah.
You keep your rookie off of him. I don't care if that's Kevon Seymour. I'm not having Kevon Seymour out there against him. So you're going to face Mohamed Sanu, who is, I think that's probably
That'd be a good test.
I don't know. Yeah, that's an average to maybe slightly above average. I would probably lean more average receiver. And then you get the Bengals, and I'm going to tell you right now, I looked at their roster a couple of days ago. Absolutely nobody behind AJ Green. I think it was, Cody Core, who comes out of Ole Miss. He hasn't really done much in his career. And then Josh Malone, who I don't even remember if they drafted him. He may have been an undrafted free agent. So, in my opinion, I think you start him because then you have your bye week in week 4 before you meet the Giants, which would be your first biggest test where you would face Sterling Shepard. So I think at that point, look, you'd have 3 games on the table plus the preseason. In my opinion, that's a good enough sample size to kind of judge where you're at with him. And if you feel that the move needs to be made, you have that entire bye week. You have pretty much 14 days to get Kevon Seymour in there and ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think right now it's setting up where it's a perfect situation for Dante Jackson. I mean, the best thing, honestly, for him was the fact that Kevon Seymour did struggle. I mean, if you asked him, he'd probably tell you differently because he'd be, it's a team effort, But at this point, I think Dante Jackson is the guy they got to go with. But I gotta caution Panther fans right now. Don't freak out about this because it makes no sense. You go from thinking that this team's going 13-3 to now thinking, okay, if this team's even fighting for a playoff spot, we might be lucky because our secondary is that bad. It's not that bad. Turning away from that, the rest of the landscape. I'm trying to think how we should do this. Should we go with top performer? I mean, you talked about Baker Mayfield, fantastic performance. I thought he looked poised. To me, nothing that I didn't really expect from Baker Mayfield. I was one of those guys that thought his abilities would transfer. Everybody always wanted to compare him to Johnny Manziel. And Tim Tebow, not even close. He's not just that college guy. He has the mechanics. To me, he has a different demeanor about him, and I thought he looked fantastic. Looking at some of the other ones, of course, Saquon Barkley. I know everybody's probably seen the run that he had the first run of the game. That was promising. He did end up injuring himself actually in practice the other day, but he will be okay. That's the good news there. I
think the game you were looking forward to, that Texans-Chiefs game, wasn't too bad.
Looks like a little boring. I know. Oh, how about this from the Panthers? From the Panthers' perspective, Joe Webb actually came in at quarterback for Houston. I think he might be actually on pace to maybe be their backup. Okay, he's battling Brandon Weeden. Brandon Weeden did play well, though. He threw 2 touchdowns, so that's something to keep an eye on. But, Joe Webb came in 6 for 13, 56 yards. So kind of the Joe Webb-esque performance that you would expect from him. Not really fantastic. But remember, folks, Joe Webb actually started a playoff game in Minnesota, so he's got that. He's got that on his resume. I'm looking at the scoreboards. I mean, the Baltimore LA game, I think, that should have blown everyone away. I mean, Baltimore 33-7. I think we thought Los Angeles, even some of their depth guys were a little bit better than that. I don't know how much you take away from that. I'm not, like I told Panther fans, don't take too much from week 1 of the preseason. If I'm Los Angeles, I don't know. I think I'd be a little more concerned maybe than Panther fans are based on that week 1 performance, because it frankly wasn't all that great. Atlanta, that's another one that would be concerned, in my opinion. I understand that Matt Ryan didn't play. Did he play at all? That's my question.
That would make the score a little bit more.
He did. No, he actually he came in for 1 drive and had -2 yards. I remember listening to that game on the radio, though. They did not have a first down until the middle of the second quarter, though. That was. I don't know how much you take away from it, but again, that's not great, especially against the Jets. The one good thing that came from that game, the Jets, they have 2 quarterbacks that really look capable at this point. And Sam Darnold, who came in, I thought as a rookie looked pretty good, and then Teddy Bridgewater coming off the injury, I think, looked fantastic. That's a guy that now I think the markets may open up a little bit for him. They've been talking about potentially trading him if he performs that well in the preseason. And, now all of a sudden you got to kind of look at it and say, hey, maybe this guy actually still does have something left in the tank. His market, I think, will definitely grow. Let me see. Only 1 receiver over 100 yards receiving, and that was Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's a rookie from South Florida. Came out, Green Bay wide receiver. So he performed very well. Top rusher looks like Ryan Nall for Chicago. A guy that's fighting to make the roster in Chicago. He's a hard-nosed back, played at Oregon State. It's really... again, first week, I don't think we can be overly optimistic, overly critical. I think it's kind of, one of those things where, you look at it, you're glad football's back, and, everybody has to understand that preseason is meant to evaluate the guys on your roster. That's why it's so plain. They're looking for pure talent, and whoever stands out is who is going to make that roster. Anything else really on week 1 of the preseason?
Nothing else kind of really jumped out to me. Like with Darnold, I thought he didn't look too bad out there, but Bridgewater looked really good. The preseason, I was just sitting there like you. I was just watching a lot of highlights over and over again. I'm just glad football's back. And then I'm surprised. I forgot that the games are already back on tonight too. So I'm looking forward to that. But
we'll take a look at those later on down the line. One of the other things I wanted to mention from week 1. I don't know if you saw this one on Saturday, the Scoring Fest in Minnesota. Where they final score is 42-28.
Oh, wow.
In a preseason game. That's pretty good. Paxton Lynch is not good. Not good. Former first-round pick. He performed horribly, and now he's actually behind on the depth chart. He's actually behind Chad Kelly, former Ole Miss quarterback. So, not looking good for him at all. So, I don't know. I don't know how concerning that is for him, but Yeah, he's in trouble now of possibly not making that roster as a first-round draft pick. So, but yeah, so I think now is the appropriate time to move on to pretty much the biggest storyline here over these last 2 or so days, and that is the Jalen Ramsey comments. They came out, of course, yesterday morning, and I think everybody's kind of been talking about him since that point. Pretty much he went out and gave GQ magazine his opinion on every single quarterback in the league. Now, there were a couple that were left off. Conveniently, Cam Newton was left off of that list. So he will, I mean, I don't know. I guess we can include him in this conversation. I don't really know if that's necessary because he wasn't mentioned. I guess that's a good thing. I don't really know. But I can't, this is a topic that I think a lot of people will say, well, why is this a big deal? This is similar to the list and everything like that. Well, you know what? It's still, we all, whether you admit it or not, we all love these lists, these quarterback rankings, these power rankings and everything like that. If anything, we love them because we love to sit there and yell and criticize them.
Exactly.
So, I guess the one that I want to start with, first of all, it's the Tom Brady one is the one that got me. I saw it on SportsCenter last night, and I just had to laugh. The quote, which apparently it's longer than that. They were just taking basically the main points out of it. They said that he basically said Tom Brady, well, he doesn't suck. So... Which to me, I'm like, okay, so the greatest quarterback of all time is just, he's doesn't suck material. Like he's okay, but he's not great. Are we kidding?
I like to one article actually categories. He did give some props to quarterbacks, and they put Tom Brady in there. So I guess they qualified that as
I don't know how they qualify these different things. Yeah, I guess if he didn't, initially come out and call you out, I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, no, I could not believe that one had me rolling. The Ben Roethlisberger one, decent at best. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, he's got 2 rings. I think most people at this point can still agree that Ben Roethlisberger is a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm. He went after Eli. I liked Eli's response, though. His response was who? Kind of like that. I'm sure he knows who Jalen Ramsey is.
I'm going to be real. Good. He probably has no idea. Yeah, it's Eli. Eli is like an old man. Eli does not know anything that goes on. If they asked him, I bet if they asked him after the playoff game about, Odell being on the boat, he would be like, I don't know what that means. Eli has no social media. Eli is, he's literally, he's like his dad. He's, he acts like him at that age, and it's hilarious. But yeah, no, I mean, he said, Odell's good. That's what makes Eli good. I don't
maybe a
think
connection.
So.
Any of the good receivers, wide receivers, he seems to be going after their quarterbacks. Like Antonio Brown, he kind of went a bit after Big Ben, saying he's decent at best, and then saying, with Eli Manning, saying he's not good at all, like with Odell Beckham, or he pretty much gave him credit. I guess he didn't go after Andy Dalton, even though I think that would almost be kind of low-hanging fruit for him, because a lot of people don't think Andy. I don't think Andy. I think he's average at best. I
wanted him to be benched for A.J. McCarron last year. So
we'll see. Yeah. So that, I guess, I don't know, see anybody else he went on, like he said, he gave credit to Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, and Drew Brees, and then kind of a random one. He said I think Marcus Mariota is a great quarterback for Tennessee.
That one I kind of was scratching my head over.
Maybe he's playing mind games like Josh Norman with like giving props to Darnold all in the practice week.
Right.
Like, I wonder if he's playing. I think Josh Norman's playing like a con on him, saying, "Oh, he's so great," and just Josh Norman's just beats to his home drum, anyways. But yeah, I don't know. Like that's weird. Yeah, him though saying Marcus Mariota. That's kind of a random throw in, but
yeah, that was one of those ones that I was kind of like, okay, so you knock on Big Ben, but you're going to tell me that Mariota is a a great quarterback. I'm not seeing it, man. Like, I think Mariota is middle of the road at best. I don't think Mariota does anything overly fantastic. I think he has the ability to move the chains with his legs, but I'm not that type of guy that really pounds the table for Marcus Mariota.
I thought
if you're saying give me the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, to me, I don't even think he's in consideration coming into this year.
Yeah, honestly, when he was in college, he's just been kind of disappointing for me. Like the way he played in college, he was so excited. I mean, I know he was in that spread, but I just thought he
it was
would
a
translate.
scheme fit. That's the thing about Oregon quarterbacks. I think a lot of people have to realize that is that the scheme that you run at Oregon is so much different than what you see in the NFL, even today, because I mean, the high-paced offense that he ran there, that allowed them to create mismatches that maybe you wouldn't see in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You don't really go that up pace in the NFL. It's very rare.
As Chip Kelly tried.
Yeah. It didn't work at all. We all know how that worked out. Congratulations, Chip, though. You can say that you, at one time, coached a team that won a Super Bowl. So I guess that's something that you can take pride in. Enjoy being back at UCLA. I don't care what anybody says, though. I'm happy he's actually back in college football.
Yeah, I think college football
is going to be great. Yes, exactly. I think he could turn UCLA, but that's a totally different conversation.
Yes,
but I think he said, Mariota was one. I didn't get the luck hate either. This was a guy that I thought his first 2 years in the league, he was very, very solid at quarterback at the least. I thought he was one of the league's probably top 10 quarterbacks consistently. I actually still have him ranked as a top 10 quarterback. I know he's been off the field for a while now, but it's something about Andrew Luck. I mean, look at what he did at Stanford. I think that translated pretty well into the NFL. Remember, he went to an AFC championship game. I think a lot of people forget about that.
Yeah.
And you can say whatever, Tom Brady destroyed him. Okay, well, that team that he had around him in Indy really wasn't that good. That defense has not been anything really since Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis were in the middle of their prime. Once they lost, Bob Sanders on the back end, that defense has just not been the same. And he took that team that really, wasn't great on the offensive line, really didn't have a running game, took them all the way to the AFC Championship game. He's sitting there, ripping on a guy that played an entire game with a ruptured pancreas or so. I forget which.
Yeah, I think our lacerated kidney or something, right?
Kidney. That was it. I couldn't remember it. Yeah, punctured kidney. And the guy was still in the game playing. Like, you're kidding, right? And you're going to tell me that this guy is not he's not a good enough quarterback?
I mean, they won in Denver, too, the week before that. They went into Denver and won. I actually thought that was like the most for sure game that of all the teams. I thought Denver was going to win that one that week. I even joked saying the Panthers have a better chance of beating the Seahawks than the Colts do going into Denver. And then sure enough, the Colts went in there and beat them. Like, that's something everybody, and it's the year before, but then that's the team that went on and won the Super Bowl the next season. So that's just.
Yeah, and Peyton Manning really wasn't playing all that bad. I actually think he was playing worse the year they made and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because the year in question, was that not the year he threw 55 touchdowns?
I think that was, or it was the year before that. I think
it might have been, but still, he was still at a pretty good pace at that time. Yeah. Pittsburgh, I don't know where Pittsburgh was at because they're one of those confusing teams that sometimes, you look back and you're like, they went 9-7 that year. Yeah, they had a couple of those years like that, but. I don't know. I don't buy into what he's saying on Andrew Luck. Like, my thing is you're going to praise Marcus Mariota, but you're not going to give any credit to Andrew Luck. Like, come on, man. Really?
Come on now.
And then, Matt Ryan. Don't even get me started on Matt Ryan. I mean, I know that there are a lot of Panther fans that probably will listen to this, and you're a Panther fan. I know that you don't like Matt Ryan, but let's be realistic here. Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. In my opinion, I have him 6th in my quarterback rankings. I really think he means that much. This is a guy that won an MVP, and you're going to tell me that you really don't think this guy is that good? Excuse me, Jalen. He's been to a Super Bowl. You have not, sir. So, are you you're kidding me, right? That's. I don't even think he's ever faced him in his career, if I remember correctly. They showed his statistics against the quarterbacks, that he praised, and against the quarterbacks that he kind of downed.
I saw that.
I don't think it was, I don't know how many that he's actually played against. I would have liked to see those statistics, and unfortunately I wasn't able to go back and look at that yesterday. But my thing is okay, dude, I've seen Matt Ryan these last couple of years, and I can't really say that I don't think Matt Ryan is probably a top 5 quarterback over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, well, with Matt Ryan, well, actually, real quick, I looked at those stats. The ones maybe it explains with Big Ben. He's actually picked Big Ben off 3 times, so maybe that's where I think that's in one game too. So that's where he's picked off Joe Flacco twice. Andrew Luck's,
those are the interceptions because there was only 5.
And Andrew Luck's only thrown 1 touchdown, no interceptions, with a quarterback passer rating of 137.5. So I'm not sure where Jalen's. Maybe he's looking at the other games, but it was 1 game, but he's pretty much torched. Well, I'm gonna say 1 game, but from the stats, he's torched y'all. Now with the quarterbacks he did praise, they all did generally well against him. So I could see some of the logic, but yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense with the Big Ben hate. But Andrew Luck, dude, come on now, he's actually kind of owned you guys. But as opposed to or going to Matt Ryan, I think Matt Ryan he's a good quarterback. I think he gets a little overrated because he's never had a bad offense around him. I mean, his rookie seasons he walked in even with a really good squad with everybody. He's always had weapons. His O-line, I think, it's been at least okay. I know recently it hasn't been as good.
It's not good now.
But yeah, I think though the people that say he's overrated, I say no. Like, you still have to. He still, I think, has really good pocket poise. He delivers the ball most of the time where he needs it. I guess Falcons fans' main complaint would maybe be he doesn't get the ball to Julio enough in the red zone, but that's something I think almost even fantasy fans complain about. But yeah, I think Matt Ryan is a good quarterback, but no way in hell would I take him over Cam. And actually, I'd take Matt. I would put him 3rd in the division. I'd take Cam. I guess, yeah, Cam.
Okay, Jameis Winston is last. Let's throw that out
make
there.
Sure
Get that out of the way.
Yeah, but yeah. So and Matt Ryan, I trust him to go out there and win a football game. I don't think he's the reason they lost the Super Bowl. The reason they lost the Super Bowl is they didn't run the ball at all, at all. So in the second half, at the same time, though, he could call an audible, but. Digress, but yeah,
I guess, but you're going to get yelled at by your coaching staff, and they're going to tell you, like, okay, are you the guy you're not the guy calling the plays, you're the quarterback. You're here to do what we tell you. We hire a guy to call plays for a reason. So, yeah, of course, you can't just change it. There's only one guy that could probably do that and get away with it, and that's Tom Brady, because Tom Brady does whatever he wants, and justifiably so.
And Josh McDaniels isn't going to say anything.
Right, he's not going to say anything. He'll just yell, but he'll yell at somebody else. Yeah, he'll yell.
That's what I really wanted you to do.
He'll yell at a wide receiver for some reason. He'll be like, "You should have audible from the wide receiver position, dude. I didn't even know what the play call was. I forgot to come into the huddle. Well, it's your fault anyway." So, but look, I think there is a good debate between the top 3 in the NFC South. Breeze, I think, is the top guy, and I think most people can agree with that because what Drew Brees is doing, especially at his age, is fantastic. And I don't agree with these people that think, oh, well, he's going to drop off a cliff here this season. I mean, what is showing you guys that? That's I don't know. I mean, apparently that's how it works. That's what happened with Peyton, where it was like he was playing at a great level and then literally just could not throw the football anymore. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but I don't think that's this season, not from what Drew Brees showed us last year. So I would still have him first. I put Matt Ryan second because I really do think that Matt Ryan is that good. I think that honestly, I think that running game is a bit overrated. A lot of people want to say, oh, well, Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman are great. Well, they're good, but you got to remember, Freeman has had trouble staying healthy, and Tevin Coleman is kind of hit or miss. He's not always that guy that can get you all these yards. And my other argument is, okay, look outside of Julio Jones, and you tell me what else he has to throw to. I mean, Mohamed Sanu is a guy that he was a wide receiver, but he also played quarterback at Rutgers. He's good, but he's not someone that you're going to say, okay, this is a guy that is, justifiably making him a lot better. And then, I mean, if you look at the tight end positions, really,
Austin Hooper,
he doesn't even start every week now. I mean, they're always rotating guys in and out. Him and Levine Toilolo is there. I mean, other guys that he's had, a Taylor Gabriel, which I think he kind of helped remake Taylor Gabriel into the receiver that he is today, a guy that was willing, that people were willing to pay. I thought he made him better. So I think, Look, is there an argument that can be made that he's overrated? I think yes, because there are a lot of people that really, every time they're talking about, the top quarterbacks in the league, people have him at 4. I don't see him that high. It's like I said, I have him at 6, and then I have Cam at 8. I think Cam,
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about it is, and a lot of people will want to say, well, how do you compare these two? Well, they both won MVPs. They both led their teams to Super Bowls and both got defeated. I think both of them are very good quarterbacks. They're a little bit different in style. I think that with Matt Ryan being a little more accurate, that's where I would give him the lean. I think that a lot of people will say, well, Cam's receiving core wasn't as strong as Ryan's. I agree with that, but at the same time, I don't think that Ryan's is that much better that you can say, okay, this gives him a clear edge. To me, they're really close. And that's the thing with these quarterback rankings that people have to realize. There are so many guys that are neck and neck. Like if you told me to do one now, not looking at all at the sheet that I had from the first time that I did, there would be guys that would be switched around. But they're going to be in that same neighborhood because they're kind of lumped together. It's basically tiers at this point, and that's not a bad thing. I look circling back more to the Jalen Ramsey thing. I know there are some other guys that he did comment on. Apparently commented on Russell Wilson. I don't know what he said about him, but I would hope it was good because Russell Wilson's an amazing quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. What he's doing in Seattle is amazing, and I can't wait to tell people at the end of the year when he ends up leading that team to 9 wins right on the brink of a playoff spot. Told you, because you want to talk about a team that's horrible around him. There you go. That team is terrible. Doug Baldwin is out injured, so now, I'm asking you. Rashad Penny, first-round draft pick at the running back position, he ends up getting injured, so he's going to miss time. So I'm telling you, anybody that knows anyone that plays around him up in Seattle, please tell me, because I have no idea. And I know a few of the names, but when I look at that roster, I'm like, this is a roster that's supposed to compete, and I'm going to somehow he'll get him up there. The one thing I did want to ask you, that was what I was circling back around to. He said that he believes that Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz are MVP-type candidates. I believe that's true. Now here's the question. Which one of them do you think will win an MVP first?
Oh, man.
How about that? Yeah.
That's actually a really good question. God, see, I want to put my Clemson bias to the side. Carson, though, Carson Wentz is in such a good situation, though, in Philly.
Right.
Like, everybody could just see them I won't say guaranteed to repeat their success, but I could just see him walking right back in and that offense just running again, or just keeping up right where it was at. See, I just really like Watson. I think he's just, I'm gonna have to give the nod to Carson Wentz. He's just in a more established team, and they almost have just everything kind of set in place. So I just think with him, I think though Deshaun is going to win one eventually. I think he's going to win a Super Bowl. The dude just wins wherever he goes. He's just a leader. Right. Yeah, so I'm going to give the nod to Carson Wentz because, he's just on a better team. And it's not even specific.
Right.
Carson Wentz is a hell of a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people almost just kind of forgot kind of how good he was. He was putting up good stats, but people just kind of forget when Foles came in. But, Wentz was even better than Foles. That offense was just running. It didn't miss too many beats, but they just kind of lost like an extra element with Wentz. So I think he's only going to grow and get better. Right. So, I can even see both of them winning multiple MVPs at the end of their careers. I think both of those guys are going to be maybe in the future. You're talking 1A, 1B in the league because they both got legs like that. Wentz, we don't know how he's going to recover, but it seems, with Deshaun too, he's had 2 ACL injuries now. So, I think they both show they're going to keep their mobility. So, I don't only see both being MVPs. I think both can actually win multiple MVPs.
Yeah, I agree. I would probably lean Wentz too. But I really do caution people to keep an eye on Deshaun Watson because if he leads them to where that team could possibly go now with him at quarterback, with that defense, if it's ever able to stay completely healthy, I mean, they're really one of those teams that I think a lot of people don't talk about, but they have a lot of talent on that team. I mean, you look at him at quarterback, you look at the running back position with Lamar Miller, who is good. I think he flies kind of under the radar a little bit. Nobody really talks about him. The wide receiving core, of course, Nude Hopkins, of course, everybody talks about him, but Will Fuller, whenever he's healthy, really a solid number 2 wide receiver for him. The offensive line isn't as good as it used to be now that Dwayne Brown's gone, but still a good offensive line. And then that defense, J.J. Watt is really that good. Combine him with Jadeveon Clowney. And then, I mean, the back end of that defense, the back 7, they're not these big names that everybody likes to talk about, but these guys, they're one of the top groups really in the NFL. They're probably top 5 when they're healthy. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I would not be shocked if Deshaun Watson ends up winning the MVP here within the next 2 or 3 seasons. So, but Wentz, I have a feeling I would not be shocked if he is the MVP this year, if he's able to come out and really keep Philly at the level that they're playing. And I mean, you mentioned it, with Foles in there, people will say, well, how actually valuable is he to his team? The thing is okay, Carson Wentz was the guy that originally got them there. And yeah, with Carson Wentz, that team, they have that added factor of his mobility. He's able to create more with his legs when the play breaks down. Nick Foles really just isn't able to do that. That's not a knock on Nick Foles. It's just Carson Wentz is that guy. And yeah, I agree with you. I think those 2 guys, I think if we look in 5 years, there's a real chance that those are probably the top 2 quarterbacks in the league. If Brady is gone, if Breeze is retired, maybe now I think about that's right. That Rodgers will probably still be playing, so it'll be very close. I think those guys will probably be challenging him though. So it is going to be interesting. But I agree with you. You got to lean Wentz. So I think that's enough Jalen Ramsey talk. I think we're giving him way too much airtime because he's gonna gain an even bigger head than he has at this moment.
If that's possible.
Going to be very interesting to see how he plays against some of these these guys he's facing this year. I'm wanting to see what some of these responses are going to be from some of these quarterbacks. I think most of the guys that he called out, by the way, he did a really good job because a lot of them are not going to say anything to him. If he called out, Cam, I think Cam would probably actually have walked up and said, you really think I'm trash?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, maybe Josh Allen decides to pull out the Wyoming roots and go and tell him where to go. I mean, we don't really know. But we'll turn to baseball. And, a lot of people will be like, are we really talking baseball on this podcast? Yes, we are talking baseball on this podcast. Get serious. That's right. So baseball fights, they're a thing that I think a lot of people, we don't see it that often. And there's a lot of people that have different reactions to it. I know my opinion on it. A little bit of the backstory. So, the Atlanta Braves, they got in a fight last night with the Miami Marlins. First pitch of the game, Ronald Acuna gets hit by, I forget what his first name is. It's Urena from Miami. Jose Urena?
I think it's Jose Urena. Yeah.
Jose Urena. He ends up hitting him with a pitch right on the elbow. It's the first pitch of the game. Now, he has hit 25 batters over the past 2 years, which is tied for the most in Major League Baseball. But I'm going to tell you, I watched it, and I'm a Mets fan, so I am unbiased. He hit him on purpose. Yeah. I'm going to be real with you. He hit him on purpose. I don't care what Don Mattingly says. You're a liar. You're a liar. You didn't tell him to. You didn't tell him to hit him, and you should come out and say that. But let's be real, man. We all watched it. He hit him on purpose. You hit him with the first pitch of the game. There's no way. The first pitch of the game, I'm telling you what every pitcher is wanting to do. No batter is going up to swing at the first pitch of the game. Very rare.
Outside of Acuna, because he's actually hit a few home runs. But still, though, it's just such a cheap.
Yeah, at that point, you don't throw the ball down the middle. That's what a lot of pitchers try to do with the first pitch of the game. It's usually like a slower fastball that's in there to get the game started. Let's start them out with a strike, and we'll go from there. Most batters are okay with that. They'll be like, all right, That's the first pitch. Let's get everything settled now. It's time to go. But, I mean, even if you throw something off the plate or in the dirt, that's fine. I'm even okay with throwing behind the guy to send a message. But you threw directly at the guy and hit him.
In the elbow, too.
And you're going to
the leg or even the butt. But, yeah, that's...
And then he tried to play victim after the game. They did the interview with him, and he tries to act like, oh, these guys attacked me for no reason. Man, stop.
Yeah.
Stop with that. That's an absolute joke. Also, in the Giants and Dodgers series, I don't really know what happened that kind of instigated that. I know Yasiel Puig was walking up to the plate. Catcher Nick Hundley said something to him. They started yelling, talking back and forth, and Puig started pushing him. They got physical, which is kind of expected with those two. They are bitter rivals. So, I think that is definitely something that we all like to see. But, I think, getting at, we'll get to the main part of this topic that I wanted to talk about. But, focusing on the Acuna thing, I know you're a Braves fan. Just tell me what your reaction was when you saw him get hit by that pitch.
First, when it comes to fights and baseball, kind of benches clearing, I kind of like it a little bit. I like kind of policing themselves and stuff. And then kind of when it happens to your team, maybe you, at least the way it happened, where it was just a straight, he was just beaming him. He was just trying to hurt him. So, I mean, it ticked me off. One, it was the streak. I mean, first I thought if he was okay, and then I was like, oh, man, is the streak kind of over? But I guess that's still in play when he comes back. But I just think that is kind of like the worst thing about baseball. Like, it's bad enough, you hit a guy because you're mad about how he maybe flips his bat or something like that. It's even worse, to put a guy in danger because your team is not good enough to get him out. So you're literally going to send a message or just try and I just hate that. Like, that's just so old school and stupid. Sure enough, there was like a Marlins play-by-play guy that pretty much is trying to justify it, saying he was like, they're killing you. You lost 3 games. He's like that. You got to hit him. He's like, I'm sorry, people don't like it, but you got to hit him. That's part of the game. And that's why you played 30 years ago, man. The game's moved on from that. It's one thing, like benches clearing if you think it was, words are said, or it's another thing like that. It's another where you're intentionally trying to hurt a young player because he's just hitting the ball so well against you guys. Like, that's just crap to me. And then on top of that, you're trying to play. I mean, I guess you can't come out like Manon's like, yeah, I told him to hit him, and I'm mad he didn't get him in the head. Like, it's one. I guess he has to try and deflect to be. I guess maybe own up to a little bit like that, and then what's his name? Jose Uran, the guy who hit him, pretty much just playing dumb after even playing the victim somehow, trying to flip it around where he's the victim. Like, come on, man.
That.
Like, I just. And then going to the Puig, I only saw the highlights, but then Puig kind of got separated, but he still landed that punch on his he still had his mask on too. So I guess Puig's maybe lucky he didn't hurt a hand or a finger like that. That's the other thing too in the NFL when guys hit each other with a closed fist. Like, I mean, I guess maybe take some boxing classes and kind of learn to throw like a hook or like an uppercut and catch him on the chin right under the face. Not like I'm trying to encourage violence, but I mean that's what I would do if I was. I would learn. I would not try and slam my fist into a face mask. But
you got to be smart about it. I mean, take the helmet off first before you start punching.
Like Andre Johnson,
yeah, he did it
and
at
Cortland Finnegan.
Yep.
Like that's how they did it. Like that's. But
be smart about it.
Yeah, But
why do you want to punch the side of a helmet? I'm going to tell you that doesn't feel good. It's not going to break. You hit that with your helmet and it doesn't break. How do you think that hitting him with a fist is going to help? Hitting the face mask, trust me, that's harder than the damn helmet.
Yeah, going back to Acuna, and he's actually one of my favorite players on the Braves. So maybe I'm even more kind of just ticked off about that, but. I don't know. I'm maybe hoping if cooler heads prevail, maybe a day or two, maybe comes out making a kind of a comment. But even though like Freeman said though, he said like that was like the fastest pitch he's thrown all year. Or I mean, I guess he was saying that.
Yeah, that was the fastest pitch. Yep.
I saw statistics saying it was one of the fastest, but it's by far the fastest of his career he's thrown on the first pitch. So that's like that right there is just evidence of, like he said, it usually is kind of a typical kind of like a not a changeup, but just kind of like a not a beaming fastball, but just almost to get one in there to get the game going. And then when you're pretty much almost trying to throw triple digits at a guy, I just think that's obvious that you were trying to. Maybe you weren't trying to maybe get him in because he is kind of an inaccurate guy, so maybe he was trying to maybe get him more in the leg and the kind of the butt, but then it comes up and hit him on the elbow, which is probably the next worst place outside of the hand or head to get hit. So, but yeah, so maybe I'm hoping the optimistic side of me, maybe the feel everybody kind of coming together. Everybody, I'm hoping in maybe a few days, maybe a comment comes out saying I apologize, or maybe I don't know, but probably more than likely it won't be, because like you said, the Dodgers and Giants are rivals. We're not the strongest rivals, but the Marlins are in our division.
Well,
so.
the Marlins are the Marlins' biggest rival is their fan base. So let's be real with that. No one shows up to those games. Unbelievable. That's right. No, do it. Yeah. No, keep beating them, please. Please. We don't want the Mets don't want to be in last place. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. We don't want to be in last place with the best pitcher in the game right now.
Oh, yeah. That's
Cy Young winner, Jacob deGrom, losing record, team finishes in last place. Can you imagine that? But yeah. I saw it. I thought the same thing. I don't get why you do that on the first pitch. And to me, that's where it seems pretty obvious. You're not going to hit a guy on the first pitch. And he threw directly at him. That did not look like it was anything ill-advised. I mean, you would have saw him, step off and kind of readjust. I mean, if that's me, if I accidentally hit someone with the first pitch, I'm going to be like, you are kidding me, right? It's going to be one of these nights. I'm going to have to step off and kind of rub my head and say, here we go, So to me, I thought.
So his body language, it's like he thought he kind of like he intended that?
Yeah, that was the other thing. Like they started they stared each other down for a minute, and then he started saying something to him. So to me, and he looked directly at him after he hit him. Like you're not telling me that you're not, you didn't mean that. Let's cut the crap here, okay, man? Let's be real. Let's put everything out on the table. You meant to hit him. It's fine. I mean, the Mets have done it before too. I remember when we faced Chase Utley for the first time after he broke Ruben Tejada's leg. Syndergaard threw right behind him, and Syndergaard had no problem. Now he didn't even hit him. He threw. I mean, it was way behind him, and I mean, he got ejected when they came out. I mean, they actually, it was a couple of months ago they released the audio. I don't know. You've probably seen it on social media where Terry Collins actually comes out, and he is. It's a just laced with all sorts of vulgarity and everything. It's hilarious. That's the most fired up I've ever seen Terry Collins, but. I mean, they go and they actually had the mics on the ump, so the umpire walked up to Syndergaard, and Syndergaard said, "Yeah, you knew what I was doing, but I threw that far behind him. It's to send a message, and it's understandable." Now the question becomes, what's the retaliation from the Braves? Because there will be some retaliation. Now, they meet, I think in 10 days, they said. So there's a little bit of time. But you wonder, the thing is are they going to hit one of their players? I was watching ESPN last night. Rick Sutcliffe, who was on there, great baseball analyst, he was saying, they may wait to try to hit Urena whenever he comes back up. But my thing is it's like he said, who knows if they'll ever see him again. So, apparently he's not that great of a pitcher. And the thing is, I mean, even if they see that series coming up, they might say, he's out with some arm soreness. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I don't really know that much about the Braves manager right now. To be real honest with you, his name is actually slipping me right now.
That's crazy. He was. I'm sitting there. I was trying to remember his nickname because he always goes by a nickname. Like it's God. I cannot believe it. I was a Braves fan. I should know my my own manager's.
The point that I was gonna if that was Bobby Cox, I think we all know what would have happened. Bobby Cox would say, "Okay, next time we see him, somebody's getting hit." So,
that would have been, he would have been on a tirade. I mean, he set the record for obviously most ejections. So that would have obviously been one on another ejection.
To be fair, I thought the Braves manager did a great. I mean, he was steamed. He was not happy, and he was yelling at the umpires. He was yelling at Don Mattingly. I mean, and rightfully so. I listened to his press conference, and I thought it was fantastic. He said right out, that's my kid. That's my guy right there. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let them hit my guy and not say anything. And I thought that was fantastic. Standing up for your player. I don't know if he got ejected. I don't remember who got ejected. Because apparently, I'm glad I wasn't actually watching that game live. Apparently, it took them what did they say? 17 minutes to get everybody off the field and figure out the ejections. I'm like, what is this, an NFL replay?
I was going to say, did they go to the replay booth for that one too?
I wouldn't be shocked. Let's see. Oh, there's a punch thrown there. Okay, mark that name down. Okay, we're going to go back and look at it to see if it was overly aggressive. That will determine suspensions. I mean, who knows? How does it take 17 minutes to eject guys? You should know. You're in the middle. You are in the middle of the scrap, and you're telling me you don't know who threw punches at people?
Hey, it's crazy in the mosh pit, man. You don't know what's going on in there. I guess that's what the refs would be saying. But
oh yeah, and then the Giants and Dodgers one. The best account that I heard of it was Andrew McCutcheon's account. I don't know if you saw this, but he was standing out in right field. And he was like, okay, so I see all this stuff going on. He's like, I was just standing out there, and I see these guys pushing and shoving, going back and forth. He's like, I'm just out there hanging out in right field. And then all of a sudden, I feel these, a couple of things whiff by me. And he's like, oh, I'm looking over. That's the bullpen. And I'm like, oh, man, this thing is serious.
Maybe
he gets all the way into the infield, and then they show him. And by the time he got in there, he was just taking his time, I guess. Who knows? Maybe he took the bullpen card in there that they're gonna bring back. Who called the ride? Hey, yo, can you pick me up, man? I got to get in there for the fight. He ends up rolling up, and he gets there way too late. He's standing in the back, just kind of like hanging out. The whole thing's over, and I mean, it was hilarious. It was great. He's like, he's basically like that guy that's like, why can't we all just be friends?
Yeah,
we're just playing baseball. I'm just here to hang out, man. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I thought it was hilarious, but I want to talk a little bit about that. Baseball fights in particular. You talked about it a little bit, but to me, I think a lot of people, and it's the same thing with hockey, the same thing with football and basketball. You either love it or you hate it. And to me, I think it's great because I don't know. I didn't really hear the crowd in the Atlanta game. I know in the Dodgers game, that place got loud when they started fighting. They were freaking out. They loved it. It got the fans riled up, especially in a rivalry game like that. Mm-hmm. So to me, I think it kind of, it's a sign of aggression. It's a sign of violence. I don't know, especially for younger kids, maybe that's what some of these people are thinking. Mm-hmm. But, from a guy that's 22 years old right now, that doesn't have kids, that, doesn't even have a girlfriend at this. So, I love it. I love sitting there watching it whenever I'm at games and it happens. Like I remember a couple of years ago, and when we met State in Chapel Hill, there was a fight at midfield. They got into a shoving match and everything like that. I thought it was awesome. I was loving it. I was going straight WWE, Raw, freaking
Thursday
out, I think it's great, and I agree. I think with baseball, look, at times, I think some of these sports, they kind of get into that lull where it's just, everybody competing, everybody, nowadays are like friends. You see guys that, I've seen it in baseball where like guys will get players out and they'll walk by and high five the guy that got you out. Like, what the hell is that? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't care if that guy's my friend. I don't care if he played on the same team as me last year. You got me out. I'm not going to be giving you a thumbs up. I mean, unless we're joking back and forth, okay, that's different. But I'm not going to say, I'm not going to walk up to you, great job getting me out there, man. What a throw, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. I guess it's just that day and age now. Everybody's been playing on the same travel teams. Everybody, just like with the NBA.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Through social media, at least, Mm-hmm. So, but what my point is the fighting. I think it brings that competition that everybody kind of is saying, where's that at? When they start, duking it out, they're saying, look, man, we care. We're here to win, and yeah, we're going to be competitive. You say something to one of my guys, or if you do something to one of my guys, we're going to fight. So, I don't think it's overly aggressive. I mean, I don't think anybody's out here, I mean, like in hockey, for example, fighting is, you drop the gloves and you throw hands. Nobody's out here taking a skate off, threatening to cut somebody. I mean, this isn't Happy Gilmore.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, right, yeah. So, I mean, then that's the thing. Baseball, no one, Yasiel Puig's not, taking the bat and trying to swing it at the guy.
Yeah.
They're duking it out. Things get a little heated, and it happens all the time in football. I don't know if you saw it at the joint practice the other day with the Jets and the Redskins going back and forth. And, there's what is it? Oh, Jalen Ramsey. Speaking of Jalen Ramsey, he actually got suspended because him and which
Dante
teammate?
Fowler?
It was Fowler.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it was Dante Fowler. I knew it was a lineman. I didn't think it was Calais Campbell. But yeah, Dante Fowler. So those two guys actually get suspended for the first game of the year because they were going back and forth. I don't understand that. I mean, yeah, you're always going to come to blows, especially when you're out, in training camp and stuff like that. When you see these same guys every day, especially, when you're playing on a defense and maybe someone misses an assignment, there are times where you're going to get frustrated with each other. Mm-hmm. And, fighting, I think it's just part of the game. So, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I mean, what do you think? Here's my thing. Take it from this perspective. If your son got into a fight, would you be mad at him for getting into a fight on the field?
I mean, I wouldn't say it depends. I mean, if it's somewhere where somebody, if maybe get hit by a pitch, it's one thing, okay, it's part of the game. But maybe if it's something where if you feel they are gunning for you, almost like, if specifically it's a case like Ronald Acuna where they almost hit you, and they hit you almost in a spot where it could cause injury because you're literally you're doing so, you're not even bat flipping, it's just because you're performing then I'm like, yeah, you got a chance to, okay, like I'm not going to stand for this. But I think for the most part, I guess I would be okay because violence isn't always the answer, but I'm a full believer of standing up for yourself, and that's what I kind of like about the self-policing part of it. I just hate though when it gets to be when it's maybe a younger player, when guys get hurt, like what Noah Syndergaard or what was it, Noah Syndergaard or Jacob deGrom? He said who threw the ball behind him.
Syndergaard, yeah.
Syndergaard. I'm totally cool with that. It sends the message, like he said, even when the ref comes up, like saying, you know what I was trying to do. I'm sending a message, but I'm not going to hit him like that, and just let him know I can place this ball wherever I want to. But so that's the way I would prefer it. Is maybe, I mean, yeah, I guess the whole point is you want to kind of hit him to send the message, but even the point I still think gets made when you throw it behind him like that. But so I don't think I would get mad. Now, if it's one thing if he started it like that, then that might be a different, or it would be a different conversation, especially if he was maybe if my son was like Jose, I can't keep thinking his name. You're right. If he was like that, where he hit him and then you almost stare him down after, and then even after the game, then you play the victim. Then then I would actually be here. Then there's actually going to be a punishment coming from me because you're playing every single side of it like that. You're trying to play the victim when my dad's never told me this, but you've heard it in movies, like you don't start a fight, but you end one. I guess
right.
Like kind of that saying. I guess maybe somewhat of that, maybe not as black and white like that, but kind of if somebody starts a problem with you, then you address it yourself, because that's the way I was raised, and that's the way I would raise my son, even my daughter. If somebody has a problem with you or something like that, you handle it with them one-on-one, like Cam tried to do with Kelvin Benjamin. I mean, not to digress, like you go up to somebody and you settle it. Now, like on a baseball field like that, yeah, if somebody starts it and you feel you were wrong and they're actually trying to hurt you, and then you feel like you're in a position to where you want to react, then fine. But if it's run-of-the-mill, you get hit, especially maybe it was by accident, something like, yeah, you got to have a cooler head than that. But if it's more than, okay, like you feel like you're justified, or you feel like you have been, yeah, I'm a believer, and that's where you have a right to stand up for yourself. Right,
yeah. I think, yeah, you're right. There's a line. Clearly, you don't want your child starting anything. I'm not putting up with any Richie Incognito type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's not happening.
Yeah, period.
No. He'll have to deal with me at that point. But, I think, if, like, I kind of look at it as, okay, if they say, oh, your son got into a fight, I'm on the field or something like that, a player hit him late after he dropped the ball or something like that, or it was a hard foul and he slammed him into the ground and then said something to him. I would understand. I would tell him, look, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, yeah, of course you're going to say, okay, look, I don't want you doing that because that could potentially cost you your scholarship. That could potentially potentially cost you. If you're in the league, that's going to cost you money. So, of course, but at the same time, I think that people that say, fighting is it's a terrible thing. It's bad to promote. I don't think it's I don't think you should be promoting it. But when I look at some of these exciting moments in some of these sports, like baseball, the brawl between the Yankees and the Red Sox, that was fantastic. I think everybody looks back at a moment in that rivalry and says, we remember that. When in the Duke-Carolina rivalry, when Hansborough ends up getting elbowed in the face by Gerald Henderson. I mean,
that was on purpose, too, by the way.
I don't like Gerald Henderson. He's a horrible person. But that's beside the point. But what I'm trying to say, and Gerald Henderson is not a horrible person, I don't think. Now, they actually do a podcast together, those two. How about that? So,
wow.
How about that? So, but look, it's something that it adds fuel to rivalries, and I mean, even in a sport that a lot of people don't want to claim, even in NASCAR, I think we're all kind of excited when somebody gets out of their car and gets in someone's face. You don't even have to throw punches, but when you get out of the car and you're angry and you say, "Man, I don't like that you did that," it's something about that that gets you fired up.
It's authentic, it's human emotion,
right? They're showing you that they care.
The first thing I thought of when you said that in NASCAR was I just think of Tony Stewart was Lagana. He's just a rich boy who's never had to work a day in his life. Something like, I just love that. That's just authentic. It's just anger.
Right.
People it's just I keep going back. It's authentic. It's raw. You just like to see people be true and be real like that in the heat of the moment. I just like that. And
right. And it's amazing, especially in NASCAR. You see some of the most, you would think, docile guys, like, Jeff Gordon getting in, multiple fights, like you calling out Jeff Burton. You would never think that these guys would get into fights now that you see him on TV.
I think Jimmy Johnson's like the only guy. Maybe he has. He's like the only guy.
I think he's gotten to
winning so much, but I'm sure he has, though. Everybody has.
Everybody gets, not everybody's Kyle Busch, and thank God we don't want that. Oh, my goodness.
When he wrecks at any, as long as it's not a bad wreck, whenever he does, the entire crowd will cheer. I've heard at any track you go to, everybody starts cheering when he wrecks
because he always complains. I mean, he wrecked. Who did he wreck? He wrecked Kyle Larson in a race earlier this year, and then a couple of weeks later, Kevin Harvick kind of nudged him out of the way, and
I remember.
Apparently he took exception to that. He didn't like it. He says you race how you get, you race how you get raced. You get raced how you race other people or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you? And at the time I'm thinking, okay, well he's referencing the way he raced Kyle Larson. No, apparently he was actually angry about how Kevin Harvick raced him, which I was like, what? But wait a second, you raised somebody exactly like that.
But it's like he doesn't. It's like treating somebody the way you want to be treated, except he didn't realize he's been treating everybody else like that.
No sense.
Come on now.
No sense. But you were talking. Oh, Joey Logano. Yeah, you were talking about him. I actually met his dad the other day. He's actually the owner of the Extreme Ice Center. Great guy.
Oh yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, great guy. So, but yeah, no.
Has he worked a day in his life? Did you ask him that? If Joey's ever worked a day in his life?
I'm assuming Joey has worked a day in his life. I mean, I think a lot of people think that, especially, that's a whole different topic, is the fact that a lot of people think that being an athlete or, even in NASCAR, that's not a job. No, it really is.
You gotta work you gotta have talent to get there. A lot of people think you just kind of get kind of good at. No, those guys have been doing that since they were little, training even from go-karts up like that. But yeah, some people maybe they've had a little bit better opportunity because I think but he's been put in a situation where he's had more opportunities, but he's made the most of it. He's a damn good driver. So
right.
I mean, I get a lot of people because I remember I got in arguments with people with if NASCAR drivers are athletes. I'd say they are. I don't want to get technical, but I'd say they're more of like a non-traditional athlete because it takes skill what they do, the hand-eye coordination,
right.
even the endurance of sweating, all the heat.
That's what I was going to say. You get inside of there and sit in there for 5 hours, and you tell me how you feel.
Yeah, even they don't. It's kind of like the unspoken rule. They all joke about having to go to the bathroom. I guess I don't know if they have.
Right.
There is a lot. It's going in a circle. It's more to it, but there is a hell of a lot more to it when you actually go and meet these people. And if you're fortunate enough to even be able to sit in a car, it's like whoa. There is.
Most people don't realize the best athletes at a NASCAR track are the crew chiefs.
Oh yeah.
Or not the crew chiefs, the pit crew. That's
Yeah.
what I meant. I remember watching the documentary on Clint Boyer's crew when they were back at Michael Waltrip race. It was unbelievable, the things these guys go through. I mean, they are in the weight room. They go through and practice these pit stops over and over and over again. And yeah, it's about building up endurance. So yeah, don't give me that type of that stuff. But I think we're fraying a little bit. So I think it's time to move on and finish up.
Yeah,
so
just real quick. Yeah.
Back to preseason. Now we focus on this week. So let's take a look at what's ahead for this week in preseason. Looking at tonight, 3 matchups. So it's going to be Philadelphia at New England, Pittsburgh at Green Bay, and New York at Washington. New York at Washington is going to be the televised game. Now, one of these games might be on NFL Network, so I'm not sure if one of them is. But
the Philly New England one,
right? ESPN is going to carry the Jets in Washington. So if you want to see Sam Darnold or Teddy Bridgewater, both of those guys should probably play a significant amount tonight. And then, Philadelphia and New England, Super Bowl rematch. So that's going to be interesting. Green Bay and Pittsburgh. I think that as well could be interesting. Maybe a battle of the backup quarterbacks there. Just showing Kaiser potentially, or no, Brett Hundley, I think, is their backup. I think Kaiser's going to be their number 3 guy. And then Mason Rudolph. So, out of those games, I think New England and Philadelphia has to be the best one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just most intriguing, it seems. It's the Super Bowl rematch. We know we're not going to get both like Super Bowl starters out there and everything.
Right.
But I think that's easily the most entertaining game. And then Pittsburgh Green Bay. I actually might be more interested in the Jets Washington game. Maybe it's just because of Darnold. I just like. I've been following him since he went to USC. I've always liked him. But Pittsburgh Green Bay, though, like you said, kind of a battle of the backup. So I could see.
I'm intrigued to see what if they play Alex Smith a little bit more in Washington, to see what they've got with him. So
yeah, I didn't see any of their game. How much did he play? Was it probably?
I don't even know. He may have played a drive, if that. Yeah, I didn't see that game was on also during the Panthers game and the Giants game. They had 3 games on at one time because they had it on NBC for some reason. Apparently the local Washington affiliate, which I'm like, I've never seen a Washington game on listed as a local game ever in this area.
Odd. I think it was before the Panthers were here, but that was like 25, 26
right.
years ago. So that's
now you got the Panthers here. We all know that. Friday, I won't be watching anything on Friday for that because I will be calling high school football. So,
nice.
Looking there, you got Kansas City at Atlanta. Maybe something there. I don't really know. I mean, if you really like Matt Schaub that much, that's the game for you.
I can't believe he's still around. Like, he was there with Vic with the Falcons, I think he was.
Yeah, remember, he was there, then he leaves and goes to Houston and is a starter, leads them to the 1 seed at one time in the AFC. And then he ends up dropping back off. I think he had like a short stay out in Baltimore, and now he's circled back around to Atlanta. So it all comes full circle for him. Then the Giants at Detroit, Buffalo at Cleveland. I think that game could be really interesting, watching potentially Josh Allen versus Baker Mayfield. Miami, of course, at Carolina will be one that everybody will be keeping an eye on. Home game, Miami comes in, a team that I don't think Miami's really all that good, so maybe the Panthers are able to jump on them early. I think that's probably a good chance for that secondary to show maybe they're not as bad as people are claiming at this point, because I mean, outside of Kenny Stills, I don't know anybody in that Miami receiving core that's really all that great at all. Even Kenny Stills. I mean, Kenny Stills is a solid receiver, nothing great. And then Arizona at New Orleans will be the 8 o'clock game. That will be what finishes that group up. I would say, Cleveland, Buffalo is the one that interests me the most. Of course, Carolina I'll keep an eye on. But if the Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen thing, I think that's going to be good. I really want to see what Josh Allen has. And those 2 quarterback battles should be interesting. I mean, you mentioned it, and I think Tyrod Taylor will be their starter. But the thing is, man, if Mayfield keeps playing that well, it's going to be hard to say, okay, that's a number one pick that we're keeping on the bench. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, though, I don't know. He's just that guy that gives you a chance to win. He doesn't turn the ball over, and that's something that, to me, you can't value enough. So then you turn to Saturday, Jacksonville at Minnesota. Jalen Ramsey against Kirk Cousins, who he actually praised. So nothing there. Wow. Yeah, right. I'm disappointed. I wanted him to potentially get shredded up. Oh man, I hope they play Josh. They play Josh Allen later this year though in the regular season, but he might not even start. So who knows?
Yeah.
Oakland at Los Angeles, I think, might be a big game for Los Angeles there. Oakland, I don't know. Nothing really thrills me there. They got a backup quarterback battle I know going on. Connor Cook and I think EJ Manuel is still on that roster.
He's still there. Yeah, wow, I can't believe Bill's first round pick. I can't believe they. How about his career? A terrible pick.
At the time, very lackluster quarterback class, and that was just a horrible pick that never really worked out. I mean, if we're being real, like, he was never awful. He wasn't on the same level as like Jamarcus Russell. He just wasn't a starter at the NFL level. I always thought at Florida State he was okay, not great.
Yeah, he had that great comeback against the Panthers that year. I think the second game of the season. God, I remember watching. That's like Luke Kuechly. I think he said that's like one of his worst games where he committed just that bad pass interference on that last. Oh man,
I don't think anybody's all that mad at Luke anymore though.
Yeah,
so they'll be all right. Cincinnati at Dallas. That's on NFL Network. Okay, so there are no NFL Network games tonight. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I was trying to look around because usually an app they'll show the game, and they didn't show nothing on the other two.
What are they going to do? They'll probably show week one preseason games instead. Again, Tampa at Tennessee, San Francisco at Houston.
That's kind of interesting, maybe.
Yeah, potentially. Chicago at Denver. And then Seattle at Los Angeles. That'll be the late game. So a lot of preseason action on Saturday. They start at 1, and they'll have 4 games televised. So if you're really into the preseason, I mean, you can watch that.
Yeah,
just looking here, I don't know how true this is, but apparently the Dallas preseason game, there are 9,590 tickets available as low as $2. There's no way that's real.
Wow.
$2 to go see Dallas play? Oh my gosh, yeah, I might have to invest in that.
Are those standing room only seats, like in the bullpens behind the benches like that?
I don't think those are that bad of seats. Aren't those premium seats though? Because you're that close to the players?
I guess you just got to look up though and watch the game on that.
Maybe the $2 seats you got to stand at the top of the stadium and just look down.
Yeah,
you know? maybe that's the
binoculars.
Yeah, right.
The view though is never as bad. Yeah, it's far away. I've noticed though, like the shots from somebody's phone or a video, it makes it look so much further away than when you're there.
Well,
in
you
person.
got the big screen,
Like,
so
okay.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, if you're not missing anything, because you're going to see everything that's going on. But yeah, I'm kind of that guy. I'd rather watch the action on the field than watch the screen. I don't like watching screens. If I'm going to do that, what's the point of going to a game? Exactly. I watch a screen at my house. And then they finish up on Monday. Final preseason week 2 game will be Baltimore at Indianapolis. It'll be a Monday night game, so on ESPN.
I like that one.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm really wanting that game. Of course, my focus will be on Andrew Luck. I want to see just how healthy he is. I think he looked pretty good apparently against Seattle, but because of all the other games going on, I really wasn't able to watch that game. That wasn't one of the ones I've been able to catch either. So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued. And you got the Lamar Jackson factor that I think all of us just whenever Lamar Jackson is on TV, we are going to be interested in what is going on. So. Yeah, that's potentially one of the good games. So, look, another good week of preseason action. Again, I know it's preseason, so it's not really overly exciting. But as I said, if you're someone that is wanting to kind of get into preseason now that week 1 is over, just go online, read what your local, what your team's beat writers are writing about. Who are the guys that are on the line, the cut line? Where are the battles that are probably going to determine who makes the roster? That's what I always watch whenever I watch preseason. And of course, You got to watch your favorite college teams players out there. So, you can always do that. For you can watch Clemson or Virginia Tech players.
Yeah.
For me, I watch the Tar Heel players and see what they've got going on. So, so we turn last-minute headlines. As always, I looked at some of these, I usually turn to Bleacher Report for most of these, and there are some definite good ones that I'm looking at. I guess I'd have to start I'd start out with golf, because Tiger Woods, of course, this past weekend, PGA Championship, a great performance from him. He's taking all of the headlines. Brooks Koepka wins his second major of the year. Now Brooks Koepka's won 3 out of 6 majors so far that he's played in the last 2 years. One other weird stat, Brooks Koepka has 4 career wins on the PGA Tour. 3 of them are majors.
Wow.
So he steps up on the big stage.
Yeah.
He can't win week to week. They actually asked him that about that in his post round interview while he was holding the Wanamaker Trophy. And he was like, "Yeah, I got to iron it out week to week. I can win the majors, can't win regular tournaments." Which I'm like, that's the problem to have.
I was just thinking that's the best problem to have as a golfer, probably.
Right. And so my question, to you is do you think is it officially time to say Tiger's back?
Yeah, I think it is. I think he's shown he's consistent. I think he's not had like a real major. I think it's the first time he's been healthy, I think, for like a year straight. Like he had no hiccups. He's had no setbacks. I mean, he's been saying it for a while. He said, I think they took a disc out of his spine. He said there's a little more tightness back there, but he's not waking up in pain like he said he did almost every single day. That's crazy too how well he did. He was not even hitting like the fairway at all, and like look how well he did. So
he was worse when he hit the fairway.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be real. He hit it into the trees, and somehow he made what hole was that? It was a 9 or 10. He hits one left off the tee, and it's in the trees, and he hit just an unbelievable second shot that landed on the green. I mean,
I think that was 9 because this way he got that birdie and like
right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah, I thought it was 9 as well, and I mean it was fantastic. I've never. I'm going to be honest. It's great because golf was. I don't care I'm a guy that likes the majors. I wasn't, just because Tiger wasn't playing in them, I wasn't the guy that didn't watch them. I definitely watched them. But with Tiger there, it was such a different atmosphere. I mean, every single time he hit a shot, they were losing it. And the amount of people that were lined up to see his group, it was amazing. I've never seen anything like that at any sort of golf major. I mean, there were probably, I think at one point, there were probably it was 20 people deep all the way back around him, the gallery, trying to watch him. I mean, you got to think, that's a couple thousand around him just watching him play golf.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Like the Tiger Roars, they said, like the players almost had to get kind of used to it again. They said it was like I think the scoreboard keeper, I think that was the big one. I think it was on 9. I think it was not Dustin Johnson. I can't remember. It was one of the guys who was playing for the lead, and they posted his score, and just the crowd erupted, and the ushers and their caddies kind of had to kind of calm everybody down, and everybody was just. Was it Ian Thomas or somebody? I can't remember.
Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas. Yeah, Justin. Mm-hmm.
But it was like he said, like he kind of had to get used to it. I mean, they're saying, does it bother him? He said, not really. He said, yeah, it'd be a nice, to kind of have the crowds, be kind of perfectly quiet and all that. He said it's just great to have Tiger back, and they even kind of referenced, it brings in more crowds, pretty much more revenue. So they all, when it's like they say, I mean, even though I roll my eyes, like when the baseball's better when the Yankees good, or NFL's better when the Cowboys are good. But I think it's without a doubt golf is just better when Tiger's there because he's the head honcho. I mean, you have so many guys that have come on strong and look like they would maybe kind of replace him, like Rory McIlroy, even like Jordan Spieth, and they just kind of teetered off. We'll see with Brooks Koepka. I mean, I guess he seems like he always just wins the majors, but
right, yeah,
sport is just so much better when Tiger. I mean, because he grabs all the headlines, and we've just never seen an athlete dominate their sport anything close to what Tiger did in the early 2000s. So if we can get anywhere just close to that, it's groundbreaking. It just makes that sport go.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. I think, just what he brings to the sport, the amount of excitement that everybody has. I mean, it's everybody from different age groups. I mean, you see young kids that love it, and you see the older, more traditional golf guys that are loving it as well, and that's great. That's the thing that I think everybody loves about it. He brings everybody together. I think Koepka is really a good golfer. I think Koepka's one of those guys that everybody wants to talk about. Jordan Spieth, this guy is for real. He's won 3 majors in the last 2 years, and I mean now, you got to kind of look at it as, okay, well, he's now got the PGA. We thought, okay, maybe he's just an open, U.S. Open type guy. Now, okay, he's played well at the Masters before, and then you've got the Open Championship. Could this be the guy that maybe is the next, the guy that completes the career Grand Slam? Is this the guy next? Everybody's talking about Jordan Spieth because he's got the PGA and that's it. But who knows? I mean, is Koepka a threat? That's kind of one of the storylines that I look at there. One of the other headlines that I wanted to get to, of course, is the fallout that's going on right now at Maryland. Big Ten just having a rough offseason when it comes to off-the-field storylines. Yesterday, Wallace Lowe came out, had a press conference. That's the president of Maryland Athletics, and he pretty much took fiscal responsibility for anything that goes on with that situation. But just a weird situation that they got with Jordan McNair, of course, the player who passed away. But apparently, Lowe said he didn't find out until just a couple of weeks ago that the player had actually passed away, which I find unbelievably hard to believe, considering that we all knew that. That was something that was tweeted out. That was something that was, I mean, Bleacher Report sent me an update about that. Pretty sure it was also on SportsCenter. It was pretty much everywhere, and you're telling me that a guy on the physical campus that is involved with the athletic department, in particular the football program, did not know about that. Yeah, I can't believe that. And then DJ Durkin ends up having the comments made from Jabril Peppers about his coaching style, where he said it was, a little over the top. We always kind of felt that at Michigan. To me, this doesn't seem like a good situation at this point.
Yeah, I don't see how he keeps his job. I mean, I guess they say that technically goes to the trainers at that point, where you take a player off the field. Even saw Joey Galloway, I think, from ESPN almost defending him, saying, like, I don't know what coach comes and takes my temperature when I'm in the hospital. I don't know, and I thought that was kind of going a little extreme. I guess he was making some points, but I was kind of surprised at that. But yeah, I just don't see any way him to keep his job like that. And just as a coach, you got to be on top of all that stuff. And then I just think that's heartbreaking, especially too. He was at the hospital for over like a week, almost 2 weeks, and he passed away later. So it's just
right. It's a horrible situation. I mean, out on the field, first of all, apparently the athletic staff had no idea that he was showing signs of heat stroke, which I don't understand that. I'm pretty sure me and you could tell the signs of heat stroke. If the guy is literally having to be carried across the line, okay, it's not because he's fat and he's, just doesn't care.
Tired.
No, something is seriously wrong with this kid. He would not be on a college campus, let alone a Power 5 campus, if he was not a guy that was committed to playing football. Yeah. I don't understand the thinking there. The problem with with what Joey Galloway and all these guys are trying to defend is that actually DJ Durkin had a statement that that they actually went back and found. It was a couple of months ago, where he actually told a reporter that it is on the head coach to be in tune, have a good communication with that strength and conditioning staff. That's what makes these teams go. You got to have the good communication. And at this point, it's kind of, when you see that quote, you're kind of like, what happened? I mean, are you kidding me? Yeah. So, I can't believe that everything that's going on there. I mean, at this point, I mean, there's people coming out saying that this story coming out, journalists are trying to attack the game of football. This is how football always has worked. This kid was just weak. I mean, is this has to be a joke? Like, this is a young man that passed away, and it's not because I'm gonna say there's no way that this guy was just fat and out of shape. It's not possible. He got pushed too much. They took it too far, And now, yeah, someone deserves to pay for this because, look, this kid was playing, he was just, practicing for the sport that he loved, and you're going to end up pushing him to the brink, and in the end, pretty much, you pretty much killed the man.
Yeah, literally caused his death. That's just terrible. I don't see any way he keeps his job. Some people start to say the athletic director or the president might be in trouble, but I just don't see it. Right. And like they said that they've definitely got probably a gigantic lawsuit coming. I think the family's lawyers already come out saying he needs to be fired or he should have already stepped down. And I agree. If that happened to me, I would just feel absolutely terrible. I don't know how that's somebody, that parents trusted you with their son with
exactly.
You, and and literally not only did he maybe didn't see playing time or he didn't become a better football player, you literally helped cause his death because of your negligence under your watch like that. That's just terrible. That's obviously a parent's worst nightmare. But that's the last thing you think when your kid goes to school to play football. He might die from overheating in practice because of I can't.
Yeah, this is something that could have been prevented. This isn't like Joe McKnight, who ended up dropping the weight on his neck when he was working out in the weight room, a freak accident. This is something where this player was clearly more than, to me, it's got to be clear. He had to be showing signs of fatigue. He had to be showing signs that were evident to the coaching staff, to especially the training staff. Same thing with the strength and conditioning staff. Strength and conditioning staff and the training staff should be working together, especially, with how much they're putting into protecting players these days. You should know the signs for just about anything, especially heat stroke. In the middle of the summer in these areas, in the mid-Atlantic, up in Maryland, it's probably a little bit cooler than here, but I would imagine it's still very humid, and you don't know where these guys came from. These guys could have played high school football in, Michigan, where it's nice and cold most of the time, or out west where the humidity's not as bad. Somebody's got to be keeping an eye on these guys, and somebody should have said, look, something is wrong with this guy, and then for it to take an hour to get some form of EMS there to help him out, that's just ridiculous. First of all, how you're a college camp, how do you not have first responders somewhere close in the area?
Let alone already on the practice field or near it. I thought
you would like to, but I don't know. I'm not going to... If I'm thinking correctly, I don't think they have them at Carolina. Not right on the field.
Yeah,
but the thing is, if you give them a call, they're right there.
Yeah.
They're right there. They'll be there within 10 minutes, if that. So, and there might have been a chance to try to save this kid's life. But instead, nobody ended up doing anything. And now they're just, they're pretty much passing it off as if it's nothing. It's sickening. And the school, Maryland, should be ashamed. I know a couple of years ago, Wallace Lowe was a guy that was very critical of the NCAA and the handling of the North Carolina academic scandal. And now, I'm telling you, you look back at what's going on here, and this is a guy that you're just kind of sitting here saying, well, where is the apologies? Where is anything like that at this point? That's why you don't comment on something if you don't know what's going on. For crying out loud, you didn't even know this kid probably was on your campus.
Yeah, exactly. And then you admitted you didn't even know he passed away until a few weeks ago.
Right. Okay, so turning away from that, still focusing on college football, Brett McMurphy actually tweeted this out the other day. The Las Vegas Superbook released their official odds for this upcoming season. Now, of course, Bama's the favorite, Clemson a 4-1 favorite. I'm going to give you 3 teams, and I'm going to ask you to pick one of these guys if you had to bet on one of them. Wisconsin at 20-1, Michigan State at 30-1, or West Virginia at 60-1. Who you taking?
Man, I almost really haven't I know a lot about kind of their current rosters. I just feel like Wisconsin always gets kind of like an easier schedule because they avoid like almost everybody on the other side of the Big 12. So I guess they are kind of the best odds.
I mean, at 20-1 though, you still can make money, and that's really one of those teams that's on the outside.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with them over the. I was either that or the 30-1. I think you said at Michigan.
Michigan State. Michigan State.
Oh, Michigan State.
Not a bad play.
So,
they were good last year.
Yeah,
and I think now, especially with Ohio State, with what they're going through.
Yeah,
if Bourbon's not there, Big Ten East possibly opens up. Maybe that's the team that steps up.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it is. I guess now that I'm thinking, it's a lot more wide open. I guess what I was originally thinking.
One of the interesting ones, West Virginia at 60-1. Will Greer, everybody. That's the guy everybody's talking about. That offense is dynamic. I mean, the question really is their defense. They play in the Big 12. If they actually were to get to the college football playoff, if they meet Bama, are they really going to be able to stay on that same pace offensively to beat them? They're going to have to turn it into a track meet because they're not going to stop Bama. Let's be real here. If their defense can't stop a Big 12 offense, or some of the lesser Big 12 offenses, I should say, if they can't stop Texas Tech, how are you going to stop Bama? So, yeah, I mean, interesting. I would probably go Michigan State. I really like Michigan State. I like their quarterback, Brian Lewerke. Their running game is always solid. I think their receiving core is probably as good as it's been with Felton Davis leading the way. Offensive line's always in good shape, and that defense is always tough. Everybody always talks about how good Michigan's defense is, about the stars in the secondary that Ohio State has. Michigan State is always solid defensively. D'Antonio always has those guys ready to go, and I think their schedule sets up to where they could be successful. Virginia Tech, your other team, 80-1. That's not terrible odds there.
Yeah, I just our secondary and our defense is just. I mean, Bud Foster. There's a
lot of question marks now.
There's just so much. Yeah, so
I totally agree with that. Here's another one I found really interesting. Nebraska 100-1 odds, but they're lumped in with Florida, Oregon, TCU, who I actually think is pretty good and may shock some people.
I think they lost a defensive tackle today or yesterday.
Yes, they did. Yeah. I forget.
I think it was a non-contact injury too. I hate that too, especially an Achilles. That's even worse than an ACL.
Ross Blaylock, the defensive tackle, he's going to miss the upcoming season. So big loss for sure. But yeah, I found that interesting. I think TCU that's a little low. I think their odds should be a little bit better. A&M with Jimbo Fisher at 100-1. Yeah, I could see that. I don't think they're gonna get up there. I mean, being in that SEC West is tough, but that could be interesting. Penn State's another interesting one at 25-1. So there's some interesting things out there if you're betting on this season. But yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, Wisconsin's a pretty good one to go with. I like Wisconsin. I like the run game a lot. I like Jonathan Taylor. He's a monster back there.
And them churning out those offensive linemen, I guess. They just seem to those Midwest, those corn-fed guys, man.
These guys are like, these guys are 2 stars. They have guys that have been walk-ons there that they've turned into NFL players. They've done a fantastic job up there. Paul Christ really has his guys ready to go. So. One of the other ones, this will just be a little quick one. U.S. men's national team somehow up to 22nd in the FIFA rankings. This team didn't even make the World Cup. How are we moving up in the rankings?
I guess are they seeing more of what's his name? I wish I knew his
Pulisic.
name. Yeah,
Christian Pulisic.
Apparently, he is the real deal.
He's good, man.
He is freaking good. Like they say, even if you're not familiar with soccer, you can watch him on the pitch, and you're like, okay, this guy's special. Like even if you're not. I mean, everybody knows how to play soccer, but just the way he moves, even like off ball, they said he's just phenomenal. They said. So I'm honest though. That being said, I have not watched a second of him playing. So, but I'm just saying what I've heard like that. But I'm optimistic. I have no shame saying. I won't say no shame, but I'm more than just your typical FIFA World Cup time to go grab my soccer kilt or my soccer I can't remember what they call them. Their kit, my soccer kits.
Kit, yeah. No, not kilt. That's that's the Scottish.
Yes.
That's the Scottish skirt.
Yeah, but I'm more of I kind of try and keep a little bit of a pulse on it. But yeah, so I'm excited for it though. I mean, I wish what are we now about like three and over 3.5 years till the next FIFA World Cup coming around.
Right.
But,
yeah.
I'm
Olympics
will
be first, so I mean I don't know if we qualify, but I just thought that was interesting. We're up to 22nd and we didn't even make the World Cup. just kind of had me scratching my head.
Yeah.
And then, the final thing I wanted to circle around to. So I know that, they do these every year, these college basketball teams where they go around and play in these, they take these trips. Duke right now playing in Canada. North Carolina, the Tar Heels, they traveled down to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky's going somewhere. I'm not sure where they're going, but they're going overseas somewhere. So my thing is, okay, is this to you? Is this a big deal? Is this something that you gotta watch on television?
I mean, sometimes I always kind of just maybe catch it on when I'll have ESPN. And I'll watch it for a little bit. Honestly, it's got to be great for the players and the coaches. I don't know if their families get to go, but that's awesome. Getting to travel and then I guess go play some college basketball to obviously places that really aren't familiar with or get to see too much American college football, right, or college basketball, in person. But I don't think it's like the biggest. I don't know if maybe they even have a. Do they try and call it like an outreach? Not an outreach, but like a like the NFL, the way they term it with the British, where it's just trying to get more fans involved. Or I think they just say it is kind of just for the players, kind of just to switch it up with the locations for the. I guess the thing I care about, because I guess I don't know if does it count as part of their college regular season, is like the Maui tournament or the Maui.
The Maui does, because you play other college basketball teams.
And that actually counts. Does that count for the record, or is that just a warm up kind of for the actual season?
Which one?
The Maui.
No, the Maui's an actual tournament. That's like.
So that actually goes on your record.
Yeah, like the Battle for Atlantis too. They play that down in
wherever
Bahamas,
that's at.
I know where it's. Yeah, those ones are play. Yeah, these are just exhibitions and everything. Yeah. But those ones, they actually count towards your record.
Okay, yeah, that's why I found those maybe a little more, and they just seem more competitive, obviously, because they matter. But
yeah, Roy lives down there in Maui. He's done so great down there. That's right. That's right. Yeah, but. It counts towards your record. I mean, trust me, the people that have been beaten by Chaminade before, very few. I think it's 2 teams. Yeah, that counts. Yeah, that's one of those ones that you look back and say, we got beat by Chaminade? Yes.
Didn't even know that was a school.
Yes. Well,
is it a local high school or
it's like a local, I don't know. I think they're a college, but these guys, I mean, I'm telling you, like, it's amazing, some of these guys that they have out there. A lot of them are older too. And I mean, like last year they had this one guy, because the Tar Heels played him, the Chaminade in the opener. And I mean, this guy was bombing them. I mean, just, Steph Curry range threes and was nailing them. I'm like, what? So these guys, I mean, honestly, it looks like when you play them, and if they get beat real bad, it looks like you're playing a pickup team. But, they're a little bit more talented, but still, I mean, it's. Yeah, but there are teams that get beat by them, but that's the only tournament that does that. But yeah, I know, like last night, because I asked that because they showed last night like these highlights over and over again at Duke and everything like that. Oh, Zion Williamson added this fantastic dunk and everything, and I'm like, okay, I mean, I get that, and that's awesome and that's cool. I mean, you're playing in a regular game, so that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, okay, are we really supposed to be like overly excited? Or are we supposed to take a lot away from this? I mean, they're just. It's these random road trips. Kentucky does it every single year.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I guess I kind of get into it a little bit like that, but I don't know. Maybe it's not till later in the season. My favorite part's conference play. Like that's just I think that's the best, just most competitive. The fans involved.
Because at a conference is during football season, during college football, so you're kind of focused on that. Mm-hmm. Once you get into conference season and you start getting Big Monday, Super Tuesday, that's when it's like, all right, now it's time to lock in. But yeah. So wow, we've gone for
I think what is it, an hour almost
hour and 45 minutes.
Wow, it's a little long, but hey, I mean time goes by quick.
Yes,
you're talking like that, and it's just like wow. I'll maybe glance at my phone every now. I'm like wow, like that's just it.
My phone's on 1%. I entered at 4%, and my phone is still somehow on 1%. So.
I swear, it seems some phones, like either it'll hold on forever on that last percentage, or like your phone will die with 20% left. It's just
right.
Weird how it acts.
Yeah, makes absolutely no sense. But so we're gonna get ready to step off of here. I want to thank you guys for listening. As always, Spreaker.com is where the podcast will be at. You guys can listen to us just every week. I think next week we're going to try to go back on Tuesdays. I think it just depends on how everything sets
scheduling.
up. So, but yeah, so hopefully we'll have some more storylines to talk about. Hopefully it's not just preseason, but at the same time, Big Ten. Don't have another scandal, please. 2 schools already.
Then,
We don't need another one. So, yeah, we'll be back on next week chatting it up, and we're closing in on college football season. So
it's almost
the
here.
Excitement is there. That's right. I'm ready for week 0 of college football. Colorado State, Hawaii. You'll never see a game that matters more to this guy right here. Let's go.
I'll probably be watching it too. It
Right?
comes on late too, right?
That's a conference game. No,
yeah.
I think they play in the middle of the day. Actually,
It's not bad. But yeah, it's a conference game. Like I said,
yeah.
I mean, I like that conference.
big game matters.
Play.
Matters. So
Going for
yeah.
the Rams.
But yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Anthony Pagnotta, Paggy is out.
Jake Elder, the elder statesman. I'm following him out the door as well.
We'll see you guys next time. All right.
Thank you so very much for all the appreciation and all the great moments that we've experienced together. God bless.